watching Blue Blood Sports TV.
Shout out to Blue Blood Sports TV.
You're watching Blue Blood Sports TV.
Shout outs to Blue Blood Sports TV.
You're watching Blue Blood Sports TV. Hola, habla Cindy, está viendo Deportes TV.
What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So I just read an article. Robert Easter Jr. just did an interview discussing his upcoming bout, his mega showdown, July 28th versus Mikey Garcia for a unification title. Is a unification bout, should I say? This is what we want. This is what we ask for the fighters in the sport of boxing. As fans of the sport of boxing, we want to see an undisputed champion at every weight class. That's what we've been asking of Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua's situation. They one fight away from us seeing, they one fight away from us seeing an undisputed heavyweight champion. This fight with Mikey Garcia and Robert Easter gets us that much closer to seeing an undisputed lightweight champion. So Robert Easter took and he did an interview to discuss his upcoming bout, and he had a few interesting things to say. He said that he was asked, why is he the underdog in this fight? And he said that, a lot of people use the triangle theory. They base you off your last opponent, and they believe what you can and can't do against the next opponent. And, to a degree that is true, and how can we measure a fight as a reporter, as a journalist, as a critic, as a fan? How can we base the fight? How can we judge the fight? How can we judge the temperature of the fight? How can we see how the fight, how are we supposed to measure the fight? We base it off of your last fight. He's saying they based it off your last two opponents. He said that he didn't look his best in his last two fights with his last two opponents. And I'm paraphrasing because if you want to see the article, you can go to Boxing Scene 24. I'm not going to read the entire article word for word, but I'm going to paraphrase and break it down to you. So he said that, he didn't look too great in his last two fights. But one thing he did say, his last two opponents were southpaws. And this brings me to another fight, not to change the subject, but this brings me to Jarrett Swift-Hurd and Jermell Charlo's situation. Jarrett Swift-Hurd is saying that he's not going to fight Jermell Charlo next because his last two opponents were southpaws, and he has to get readjusted, reacclimated to fighting orthodox fighters, him being an orthodox fighter himself, which is kind of strange and kind of funny. Usually it's the other way around because you don't come across southpaw fighters too often. But what you do come across is orthodox fighters. You come across more orthodox fighters than you do southpaw. So when facing a very dangerous southpaw opponent, you hear fighters say, oh, they'll take a tune-up fight or take a fighter, who's a southpaw to just, get used to it, get the angles, see it, be in the ring with it, So, because you don't come across too many southpaws. But in Jarrett Swift-Hurd's situation, and this is, I know people are going to come and say, well, he just had surgery, he's looking for a tune-up. Well, he mentioned this, he said this twice prior to, and you can go check out my video, I did a video on this, you can go back and check my video out on this. He said this prior to having the surgery, that he needed to fight a tune-up opponent before he fought Jermell Charlo. See, this is the issue that we have in the sport of boxing. Us as fans, us as media, us as reporters, journalists, and so on. We want to see, now everybody doesn't have the same agenda, but we do want to see undisputed champions in every weight class. Jarrett Swift-Hurd and Jermell Charlo are that much closer to us getting an undisputed junior middleweight champion of the world, because they're both title holders. So Jarrett Swift-Hurd holds 2 titles, Jermell Charlo holds 1 title. And if they get together and tangle, then we're that much closer to getting an undisputed junior middleweight champion of the world. But with that being said, Robert Easter has fought, his last 2 opponents have been southpaws himself, and he's stepping up, he's stepping in the ring with a dangerous orthodox fighter in Mikey Garcia. Some may say at their weight classes, he may be more dangerous than Jermell Charlo at his weight class. I don't know how true that could be, but, judging the pound-for-pound list, Mikey Garcia is higher rated on the pound-for-pound list than Jermell Charlo. And that's all subject to your personal opinion. But, so back to this. So he said that his last 2 opponents, he didn't look his best. But he also had a few interesting things to say. He said that, You know, he had camp back at home. He had a lot of distractions, and he pretty much indicating that he didn't take those fights serious. And with this fight, he said he took himself away from all the distractions. He took himself away from Ohio. If you don't know, he's a native Ohio, just like Adrian Broner and other fighters there, Rasheed Warren and so on. He said he took himself out of that atmosphere. He said he took himself out of that situation, so he don't have the distractions. He's now training with Kevin Cunningham in Florida. Kevin Cunningham is actually from St. Louis, Ohio. I mean, St. Louis, Missouri. But his camp is now in Florida now. So he's taking his camp, and Adrian Broner took himself, and actually Adrian Broner and Gervonta Tank Davis now train with Kevin Cunningham in Florida. So, you know, this is not too big of a shocker to see Robert Easter following their footsteps and make his way down there, you know. But he did say that, you know, there was a, you know, he didn't feel like he was learning anything in this training camp, and I'm paraphrasing. You can go check out the article on Boxing Scene 24, Boxing News 24. I'm pretty sure it's on everything, but this particular article is on BoxingScene.com. So he says that you know, camp where he was, it was a lot of distractions, and he don't care to engage in those distractions, because this is a very, very tough fight. But he did indicate that this is the fight that he wanted all along. He was excited to get the fight that he wanted. He said that now this is what you haven't been doing. You know, he said you got all the skills. This is Kevin Cunningham to Robert Easter. This is what Kevin Cunningham is telling Robert Easter. He said, this is what you haven't been doing. You've got all the skills, but you don't make the most of them. He made me understand that, and that's where our focus is at. Sharpening, excuse me. He said, and that's where our focus is, sharpening up the skills that I haven't been doing in those fights. He says that he said I made those fights harder than I should have, you know, fighting as if I'm a 5'4" fighter or something. He said fighting on the inside, making those fights harder. So basically indicating what I said all along. I've been saying this for a very long time now. I believe that he's gonna fight. Kevin Cunningham is gonna teach him how to fight a tall fight. He's gonna fight his height. You know, he gives up his height, you know, in a lot of his fights, and he does make the fights more difficult than they should be, because he's extremely tall for the division. You know, he's 5'11", almost 6 feet in a lightweight division. You know, that's really tall for that division. He has a very long reach. You know, he's gonna have a 5-inch advantage in this fight. Mikey Garcia is 5'6", and Robbie Easter is all of 6 feet tall. You know, he's also going to have a tremendous arm reach advantage over Mikey Garcia as well. You know, but he's basically saying that, you know, a lot of things he's going to have. His arm reach is 76 inches to Mikey Garcia's 68 inches. You know, he's gonna have a lot of advantages, and those advantages he has in most of his fights. And he should use those advantages, but he doesn't use those advantages. So he said in this fight, he said he's not going to do what he did in his previous fights, which is, you know, jumping in head first, fighting on the inside, trying to knock fighters out, chasing fighters down, following them around, throwing power punches and trying to knock fighters out with one punch. He said he's going to use his skills in this fight. He's going to box. He's going to use his height. He's going to use his skill set. And then at the end, he says, and at the end, you will see this will be an easy fight. This will be, in return, it will end up a victory for me, and an easy victory at that. That's what he said, you know. You know, this fight, when the fight was first made, you know, I clearly picked Mikey Garcia. I thought Mikey Garcia would knock Robert Easter out. You know, Mikey Garcia is a very powerful fighter. He's very accurate, and he doesn't waste a lot of punches. So watching Robert Easter's last couple of fights with Javier Fortuna, and I forgot the other fight, but watching those fights, you know, he gave up his height, and he did exactly what he was explaining he wouldn't do in this fight with Mikey Garcia. Because if he fights the way he fought Javier Fortuna in his last fight, then I can't see a scenario where Robert Easter wins this fight, because Mikey Garcia is accurate, very accurate, you know, and he hits very hard. And I think that will prove to be the difference in the fight if he fights the way he fought Javier Fortuna. But if Robert Easter is to fight his height, fight tall, and use his athletic ability, use his boxing ability, I think this will be a very interesting fight. And I think that's a very winnable fight for Robert Easter if he fights his height, uses his height. If he gives up his height, he's definitely going to lose. But if he fights his height, he fights tall, he uses his jab, uses athletic ability, doesn't chase Mikey Garcia around the ring, I can see a way that Robert Easter could easily outbox Mikey Garcia and frustrate Mikey Garcia. I think that's the reason for Mikey Garcia saying that this is definitely his toughest fight. Mikey Garcia himself said this is his toughest fight, and I remember he did an interview way back when on DBN, Dante Boxing Nation. Shout out to my guy Dante Boxing Nation. I remember he did an interview on Dante Boxing Nation, and he said that would definitely be his toughest. Dante asked him what would be his toughest fight, and he said not Vasyl Lomachenko, but Robert Easter. He said because he's very tall, very rangy, and he's athletic, and he hits hard. So I think that even Mikey Garcia himself understands and identifies the danger and the difficulties that Robert Easter possesses, you know, the challenges that he possesses, as long as he uses those challenges to his advantage. And I think that Kevin Cunningham, I believe that I've seen a lot of him training videos, and I believe that that's the goal. I think that's the target that Kevin Cunningham is trying to hit with Robert Easter. And as long as Robert Easter stays sound and focused, I believe that he could achieve those things. And I do think that there's a possibility he could win this fight if he fights his height. But if he gives up his height, like I said before, with Mikey Garcia accuracy, patience, and strength, I think that this fight could very well be a easy victory for Mikey Garcia. I think it could be a stoppage victory for Mikey Garcia if that's the case. So this is a very interesting fight. I can't wait to see this fight. I'm anticipating this fight to be, you know, a mega showdown. A lot of fireworks in this fight, and unless Robert Easter, like he said, he decides to fight tall, uses his height, and make it a boring fight, just jab, and straight right, it'll be very difficult for Mikey Garcia to get on the inside. And if he forces Mikey Garcia to have to chase him around the ring, then it definitely will be a difficult fight for Mikey Garcia, because although Mikey Garcia is used to being a stalker, at times you can see him being a stalker, but Mikey Garcia can also fight off the back foot, as we saw him do with Adrian Broner at times, you know, and other fighters. But we also could see Mikey Garcia going forward and being a predator in situations like he did in his last fight versus Sergey Lipinets, you know. But I think it'll be a different outcome, because we did see Sergey Lipinets hit Mikey Garcia with a lot of clean shots, big shots, you know. And I think that Robert Easter's speed, accuracy, and well, I see at times, I don't want to say accurate, because I see at times where Robert Easter wastes a lot of punches, but that's where he get overzealous. And he said that he's not going to get overzealous in this fight. He said that with the Javier Fortuna fight, that he got impatient, you know, he got frustrated, and he started swinging for the fences. He said he's not going to do it in this fight. It's yet to be seen. This is an interesting fight. I can't wait to see this fight. But that's all I got for y'all. Drop a comment in the comment section. Robert Easter says that this is going to be definitely a victory, and an easy victory at that. So drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. It's your boy Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notifications. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue. Shouts out to the entire LDBC. Shouts out to New Media. Shouts out to Black Media Row. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue, man. That's all I got for y'all. You can check out this article on BoxingScene.com. Peace.
The Blue Blood Sport TV, baby, from the